Hello YouTube, I'm back again. 2 videos in one day. And in this video, I want to talk about how my views in the Christian faith changed. And I had mentioned it in my earlier video today on how my views in Christianity changed. And I said that that could be another video. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and try to make a quick video on why and how those views have changed in my Christian faith. I'm going to play you a video clip by Tom Harpur, and he has a new way of looking at Christianity. And this is where this video that you're about to watch, and I'll put the link in the description below. It's a short, it's like 20 minutes long, but I'm playing you about 6 minutes of it to give you the gist of how it shook me and rattled me in my Christian faith and has made me look at Christianity in a whole new way. So I'll play it right now for you.
Let me tell you something quite extraordinary that's going on right now in 3 of the world's great religions that I don't think an awful lot of people know very much about. The traditional view of their origins has been shot to pieces, is literally in a shambles. The cutting-edge scholarship today, for example, let us take Judaism. Because of archaeology mainly, but other reasons as well, the traditional view of the history of the way in which the Jewish people became what they are today and have all their traditions, that traditional picture just will not stand the test of scientific observation in the field. For example, the mass exodus under Moses. Moses, incidentally, wasn't a very good guide. He spent 40 years in the wilderness. I've traveled some of that wilderness. And why it would take 40 years to get out of it, I think they must have said, you know, on day 7, say, Moses, didn't we pass that pile of rocks a few days? But anyway, it's because 40 years has nothing to do with it. 40 is the symbolic number of the gestation of the human fetus, 40 weeks of gestation in the womb. Anything in the Bible that's going to gestate and take place and be important takes 40 days. You go through it and look at it. Jesus, 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. And I could take a lot of time and explain that to you. But there is no record, and we now have records from Egyptian fortifications along the border that shows any mass migration of people out of Egypt, let alone the kind of huge crowd that is described in the book of Exodus. If you take the book of Joshua literally, it's nothing but mayhem and battles as they fight to possess the promised land. Palestine today should be knee-deep in weapons and chariots and all the paraphernalia of war, but it isn't. They cannot find the traces of this exhaustive battle that went on. Abraham, one of the key figures, very difficult to pin down when you come to the archaeological evidence. It has to do with things like camels, which feature in the story of Abraham. But there were no camels in that area at that time or anywhere close to it. And I could go on. It's a huge subject, and it's being bitterly fought over by the minimalists on the one hand, who say that very, very, very little core remains when you're finished. And the others, of course, who are very upset by it. It has enormous implications. It has enormous implications for what's going on in the Middle East right now. You see, if you belong to an ultra-Orthodox party and you really believe God gave this land, every inch of it, to you, then you will even go so far as to kill a leader in Israel who politically decides that he will give back some of that land to people from whom it was taken in more recent times. Because you take the Hebron alone, that's a whole story. But this is a huge and important issue. Now, it's very, very much in the Israeli papers, but you hardly ever see word of it here. Now, let's move to Christianity. You say, well, they were on safer ground, very traditional. We have all that material. Do you know, perhaps you saw, in November, 50 scholars from multiple disciplines, from archaeology to you name it, anything possibly relating to the scientific examination of this particular question. To me, it's a sensational question. If you think this is 2,000 years of tradition that we're looking at, the question is this: can it be, is there evidence, can we establish that there ever was a historical Jesus of Nazareth? That's the project, the Jesus Project. You can Google it. 50 distinguished scholars are going to take 5 years. I recently took part in a documentary in which I was putting my case that I think the evidence for a historical Jesus is extraordinarily thin, so thin as to be virtually not there at all. And on the other side, because this was fair and it was for Vision TV, Moses, we had those who were conservatives and evangelicals putting the other side, naturally. They couldn't bring forth one piece of non-Christian evidence from the first century except for a passage in Josephus, which for 200 years has been known to be an egregious forgery, which mentions Jesus Christ.
When we come back.
So what did you think of that clip? A bunch of honkum? A bunch of phooey? Jim, don't believe that stuff. That's all been debunked. Take it for what you will. And how he talked about the Jesus Project and how it took scholars, what did he say, 5 years, and have not been able to definitively prove that a historical Jesus ever existed, and that even non-biblical pieces of information like the works of Josephus have been found to be an egregious forgery. And how he talks about how the Bible is not to be taken literally or historically, but that there's a lot of symbolism in the Bible, the 40 days and the 40 nights, and how the 40 days represents gestation period, that there's something's about to be born, and that the Bible, in my further studies, is myth, it's allegory, stories. And so that video clip that you saw started me on my journey of questioning my whole Christian faith and the Bible. And I had to look up Tom Harpur and then read his book, The Pagan Christ. And Tom Harpur is a former Anglican priest. And he was a professor of Greek and New Testament at the University of Toronto. So he used to teach this stuff, biblical things. So here's a man that knows this stuff inside and out. And so I read this book, Tom Harpur's The Pagan Christ, and his video that you watched, A New Understanding of Christianity. So that's where I'm at. It's my new understanding of Christianity. And so I read this book, which then led, I'm a book reader. I educate myself, people who've done the digging and the research. The Jesus Mysteries. Was the original Jesus a pagan god? By Timothy Freck and Peter Gandy. And you can find them on YouTube and watch their videos if you don't want to read the book. It's mind-blowing. And the similarities between other gods and deities and how similar they are to the biblical Jesus Christ. It's very, very compelling, very convincing, and it makes you re-look Christianity and the Bible. Listen to listen to the rest of that video. Again, I'll post it in the description. Listen to it. What do you think? Feel free to comment. Say, Jim, no, he's full of crap. Jim, don't believe that stuff. Whatever. Do you have something that refutes that? And so I appreciate the comments that people have given me. Some people have sent me emails and their concern about me questioning my faith. Jim, don't believe that. There is a historical Jesus. Blah, 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 blah. But where is your proof? Where's your evidence? But then I can understand some of the arguments that are going to come from the Christian circles to justify that, to keep that hard faith in what the Bible says and believe it wholeheartedly and not even question it. I'm questioning it. I'm questioning it. Another book, Dan Barker, God, the most unpleasant character in all fiction. I'm still reading this one, and I'm telling you what, he's taken the Bible and really critiquing it. It'll make you start scratching your head on God and the whole thing. Another one, Kenneth Humphreys, Jesus Never Existed. Another, this is a shorter version, but he's got a bigger version of this book. You can find him online and on YouTube. Kenneth Humphreys, Jesus Never Existed. Listen to what he has to say. Mind equals blown. The Jesus Puzzle by Earl Doherty, challenging the existence of an historical Jesus. I'm still reading this book. And I'm telling you, this is where I'm at because I educate myself. And I truly believe, folks, we've been indoctrinated, we've been brainwashed, we've been brought up a certain way. I talked about the red pill in my earlier video today on how men are learning the truth when it comes to dating and romance and marriage and the nature of women as a subject. Men are talking to each other. Their minds are being opened to what the true realities are. And so guys are being very careful into getting into marriage now, and rightfully so, to where even women are even on board and saying, yes, I'm going to make sure that my sons are very careful, or they're concerned about their sons marrying in today's world. So there are things that are kept a secret from us. And the red pill is one thing in regards to relationships is one of them. And I truly believe that religion and Christianity and faith is another one. I truly believe, as I continue to study and pore over this stuff, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of this stuff is made up. It's made up. Where is the proof? And you read that Bible, if you really truly read it, it'll make you scratch your head. And I think most people don't read it. Sit down and actually read that book from cover to cover. Some things don't add up. It don't make sense. It don't make sense. George Carlin, the late George Carlin, who was a comedian, who, yes, he was a comedian, but he talked about a lot of real world things. And I'm telling you, he was right in regards to things like religion, in regards to the modern day church, to things in regards to politics, in regards to things like the government, in regards to things how systems work. and how he would say, in regards to the big system out there, it's a big club and you're not in it. It's right. And how he would talk about different institutions and just say, you know what? It's all nothing but a bunch of bullshit. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, as I take a step back, and I'm not saying Christianity is bullshit, but I'm taking a step back and I'm questioning it, and I'm seeing, you know what? George Carlin was right in regards to many things. A lot of things, if you start doing some digging in your research and you start taking the freaking rose-colored glasses off, you'll realize a lot of the shit that we were taught is a bunch of bullshit. Straight up bullshit. Lies, manipulation, the whole 9 yards. And I think in years recent, a lot of people are starting to realize that as the curtain has been pulled away, or our abilities to be able to look back behind the curtain to see how things actually operate and work. And we're realizing that, yes, in fact, we were manipulated. Yes, in fact, we were lied to. And on it goes. And then the history that we've been taught. And then actually doing some digging and realizing what the real history was. We don't know the real true history. We just know what we were taught, like good little kids. I pledge allegiance to the flag, all that stuff. Started when we were little. Ask people from different cultures, why do you believe that? I was raised that way. Well, why are you Catholic? I was raised that way. Why are you Hindu? I was raised that way. Why are you Anglican? I was raised that way. Why are you Baptist? I was raised that way. I learned that from my mommy and daddy. And on it goes. And I swear, people are so indoctrinated to a certain way, even when it comes to Christianity, that this is the way it is. There is a Jesus. There's this. And for people to absolutely change their view and twist their mind a little bit is very, very difficult for people to do, because why? It absolutely shakes and rattles their whole foundations and basis for what they've lived their life and beliefs on. And for you to come in and to shake that and rattle that is hard for many people to grasp. It shakes them to their core. And I truly believe that there is truth out there that people just aren't ready for it. They're not ready to hear it. They can't accept it. Their brains aren't capable of twisting and contorting to believe that certain things have been a lie to them. It's very difficult. And when I first came into the red pill, I swear, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't leave this house for like a week. And becoming red-pilled and discovering this new look at Christianity, it happened along the same time frame. My whole worldview got shaken and rattled to its absolute core, where I questioned everything of life. And I didn't leave this house. My head was spinning. I was in an absolute daze, trying to make heads or tails of everything that I have ever been taught and learned, and questioned every gosh damn thing I was ever taught. And I'm like, holy shit, man. Could it be that there was never a Jesus Christ? Never existed. And I'm at the point now where I'm like over 90%, 95, 97% believe that. To where I don't even believe in a literal hell where people burn forever and ever and ever in torment, where somebody's in a lake of fire burning in torment and suffering, and they come up for air, and God takes his hand and pushes that person's down into that lake of fire for another 1,000,000 years. I have a hard time believing that. I'm questioning it all. And even if there's even a heaven, and that whole Bible, it's a great book, don't get me wrong. And in my previous video, I talked about it because there's good things in it. And because that's what I was indoctrinated to believe. And there are still some good things to extract from it. And as the video posted in the link, it's just a new look at Christianity. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm just now tweaking the understanding of it, people. And as he talked about, as Tom Harpur talked about it, what does it mean? What does that Bible mean? And I like the idea when he says that when you're looking for Christ, you're looking here, Christ in you. It's not all this, like he said, sick sinners and all this and that and a third. He says no, it has nothing to do with all that we've been taught. None of that. None of that. And when I heard him speak and read his book, I can tell you one thing. It makes absolute sense to me. I can believe this more than the stuff that I was taught. Oh, you shall know the truth and it'll set you free. Isn't that true when you really know what the real truth is? Not the truth that what the Bible says in that expression, you shall know the truth, it'll set you free. I tell you what, learning what I've known now and listening to Tom Harpur and other speakers and authors, I feel more freer now. I don't fear hell anymore. I feel more open and free to live. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm not afraid that I'm going to go to hell because I look at a girl the wrong way or other things because I'm a human and because I'm a man. I don't fear hell anymore. And it's actually quite liberating and freeing when you start seeing what the real truth is and start questioning everything that you've been taught. And a lot of people out there, you're not willing to change. You're not willing to expand your mind to think a different way because you are so dead set on what you believe. And anything that veers off of that, you can't. And anybody who is stepping away from that, the thought process is, well, the devil's got a hold of him. Oh, we need to get a hold of Jim. We gotta rope him back in. Oh, the devil's got a hold of him. We need to get around that brother. Oh, one of our sheep is strayed away. See? Not that I'm mocking it or belittling that. I just know the mindset and the thinking because I was there. I was the one out there with gospel tracts. I kept them in my truck or in my pocket whenever I would go somewhere at the park. I would share the gospel with people, giving them gospel tracts and talking about, asking them questions like, do you know where you're going to go when you die? Starting that conversation and just sharing Christ with them. But I don't do that. I don't do that anymore. So my whole view has changed. Unless something is different, y'all, this is where I'm at. And I hope you understand. I hope you understand. Now do you understand? And that's where it started, The Pagan Christ by Tom Harpur and that new look at Christianity. Have a listen to it. What do you think? Yay, nay, it's a bunch of BS. The former Anglican priest is off his rocker. He's misguided, whatever you may think. But at least now you know where Jim is coming from and why he's absolutely rattled now when it came to his faith. Do you understand? So I share it with you. You make your own conclusions. All I know is everything else has been a lie. We've been manipulated in other things. Why not Christianity too? And everything else. And as we take a look at this world and we realize, man, what a bill of goods we've been sold in so many ways, and my eyes are opened. Nothing surprises me anymore. So I'm not one of those guys that's closed-minded. I'm not afraid to be rattled. I've already been rattled. I've been shaken. I've been stirred. I've been in a daze. I have. As I continue to learn at this stage of life what the real doggone truth is. because I don't like being lied to. I don't like being manipulated. I don't like it. And that's why I'm in a new phase of my life where I'm like, you know what? I have to be very careful and question everything and what people's motives are. What's going on here? What does this person want? I don't like being that way. The world makes you this way. It makes you question things and make you standoffish. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that can relate to that. And I used to wonder why my father and my grandfather were so critical about things. Now I know why. And some of the things that I thought was a bunch of phooey that was full of crap, I realize now they weren't full of crap. They weren't wrong. They were absolutely right. Absolutely right. George Carlin, absolutely right. Absolutely right. They ain't wrong. Not wrong at all. So I question it. And I'm not going to be a sheep that just goes following along because that's where everybody else is going. Because that's the way we've always done it. Not anymore. I'm taking a step back. And that's where I am in my period of my life. Back it up. And I'm backing it up. Hold up. Time out. You know what? Let me pore over this information. Let me do my own research. Let me do my own digging. Let me start looking this stuff for myself. Let me read over this information. Let me take notes. Let me ponder. Let me use this thing called critical thinking skills. Think for myself, and I'll get back with you. That's what we should all be doing. Instead of going along like a bunch of blind sheep, following in line like a bunch of cattle. Not me. Not me. What is that? Fool me once, shame on me. Or fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That kind of thing. Yeah. I'm not going to be fooled again. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.